the age of 21, I should have been living my best carefree years of my life as I had just gotten my independence not so long ago. However, I was left picking out a casket and headstone suitable for my husband and 1-year-old son, reading autopsy reports, looking at reconstruction reports, and trying to make sense of my new horrific life. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, nearly 30% of all traffic related deaths in our country are caused by alcohol impaired drivers. We were a part of that 30%. Why is the number so high? The NHTSA says that the average drunk driver will drive an average of 80 times impaired before their first arrest. And in 2020, the CDC conducted a survey where 127 million Americans stated that they drove within the last 30 days after they were knowingly too impaired to drive. When choosing to drink and drive, it is not a matter of if you will harm someone, but a matter of when. Today, I'm going to share the effects of drinking and driving on you, those around you, and responsible alternatives that you can take and your loved ones can as well. Alcohol affects each person differently and can affect the same person differently on different occasions. According to California's Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control, alcohol tends to be stronger and last longer in the bloodstream for women than it does for men. Why is this? Men have more enzymes in their stomach that allows them to break down the alcohol before it is absorbed into their bloodstream. The legal drinking limit in Missouri is 0.08. However, there is no way to know if you have reached that legal limit or not without a breathalyzer or blood test. So why in the world would you take the risk? The Aware, Awake, Alive movement shared an infographic that I have attached in the slide that shares how you may feel with certain blood alcohol concentration levels. At 0.02, light to moderate drinkers begin to feel some effects. At 0.04, most people begin to feel relaxed. And at 0.06, judgment begins to become somewhat impaired. And at 0.08, definite impairment of muscle coordination and driving skills does begin to occur. At 0.1, clear deterioration of reaction time and control is beginning to take place. And at 0.12, that is when vomiting is starting to occur. Alcohol may impair the way you feel, but it also has a long-term financial effect on those who actually get caught driving impaired. Not only can you face jail time on your record, but you could also have a misdemeanor or felony that follows you around for the rest of your life, making it difficult to get jobs that you would oftentimes seek out. You could have fines upwards to $10,000 even on your first offense. In order to keep your license, you would have to attend SATOP classes, which are $575. You may also be required to have an ignition interlock system to monitor if you're trying to drive your vehicle with alcohol in your system, and that's approximately $80 a month as well. This isn't even tapping into the potential lawyer fees, which on average are $5,000 for your first offense. And according to Forbes, your insurance will increase around $1,400 a year for high-risk insurance. Just for your first offense, on a safe measure, you're looking at around a $12,000 to $13,000 financial burden for something that could have been completely prevented if you just planned ahead. I now want to set the scene for you with a scenario that is so real life to so many. A few coworkers ask you to go out to happy hour to your favorite spot in town after a rough day at work. This wasn't something you were planning for. You were exhausted and didn't want to go, but finally agreed to go just for one drink. The pressure kept building and the drinks kept coming. One drink turned into 2 drinks, which turned into 5 drinks, and you lost count. A couple hours passed and it was time to go home. You drank a glass of water and figured you'd be fine. You were just tired. As you wobbled into your car, your friends did the same. You chose to get into the car, turn the car on, pull out of the parking lot, except you did not make it home. On your way home, you hit a family driving home from picking out their Halloween costumes. The little boy was going to be a vampire. They had just celebrated his daddy's birthday, and Halloween was his dad's favorite holiday. This little boy would never get to wear that costume because of a choice you made. The screams that mother made on the side of the road that evening, as she knew her life was forever gone, will haunt you for the rest of your life because you let societal pressures of drinking after a hard day at work get to you, and you didn't make a plan before, and then you now change the future of a family as well as yours. You will live, but life as you know it will never be the same. The incredible job you went through school for is now gone and will never be. Police officers are now in and out of your hospital room questioning you, asking for a blood sample, car insurance, and health insurance. You overhear them say that you killed a family. You didn't mean to. You didn't mean for it to happen, but it happened. You now must face the consequences because you didn't plan ahead. Your car insurance was the bare minimum the state required. It will not replace your car or cover your medical bills or the victims, so you both are now in debt. You are injured and you can't work, and you will need a lawyer as you face the upcoming court case for killing a child and an adult while injuring another while under the influence. You have now created emotional pain for a family that will last a lifetime. The victim's family will have a long-term mental health effects, loss of income, medical bills, funeral costs to incur. All of this could have been prevented if you just said no or if you just planned ahead. How do you ensure that this is never your outcome? You do never cause this pain and emotional turmoil for someone else. If you're planning on going out, give your keys to a sober friend. If you're someone who's tempted often, give your keys to a sober friend so the temptation is gone. Choose a designated driver before going out. If you're in a heavily populated area, make sure that you choose public transportation or rideshare options. There are options like Uber and Lyft that are so readily available, or pick up your cell phone that is always in your hand anyway and make a phone call to your mom or your dad or your sister or your brother or your best friend or your neighbor down the street, because I can guarantee you that they would rather you call them at 3 a.m. than attend your funeral Saturday at 11 a.m. So make sure to make a plan before you have your first drink. Just like it's up to you and me to plan ahead when choosing to have a few drinks, it's also up to us to help keep the road safe. And part of that is learning how to spot an impaired driver on the road and what to do when we do spot an impaired driver. Mothers Against Drunk Driving gave us a few tips on what we should do if we do come across an impaired driver and how to spot one. So let's go into that. An impaired driver is oftentimes accelerating or decelerating. They are weaving or swerving in and out of lanes. They're driving too fast or too slow for the speed limit. They are driving on the wrong side of the road frequently. They are nearly missing objects that may or may not be there. They are inconsistent with their signaling, so they may be turning on turn signals way too quick or way too late, or maybe not even at all. They may even be driving without headlights when it's dark or when it's raining or maybe not even when it's needed at all. So use these signs to spot an impaired driver. And then when you do spot an impaired driver, it's important to stay at a safe distance. Try to get some identifying features about the vehicle. And if you can safely note the license plate number, do so. And then safely call 911 to report the vehicle, where it's going, the direction it's heading, and let the cops take it from there. It can be easy to find yourself in a situation where someone is trying to drive impaired, especially in a society where drinking and driving is just so commonly acceptable. And knowing what to do is so important. Mothers Against Drunk Driving also shared some tips on what we should do if we find somebody we know that is trying to drive impaired. First, we should try to be non-confrontational. Have a friend there for support so you're not alone in trying to convince them to stay where they are. Suggest that they sleep over. They can stay at your house. They can stay wherever they are at. It's safer to stay where they are in the state that they are in. Offer to call them a ride or even give them a ride if you feel safe doing so. It's, again, safer than them driving themselves. Before the first drink, ask for plans to always be made. Try to have plans made before it gets to the point to where we get in situations like this. And if you try all of the above and you just cannot get your friend or your loved one to not get in a car impaired, simply call 911. It's a better situation than attending their funeral and living with a lifetime of guilt because you couldn't convince them otherwise. They may be mad at you for a short time, but again, it's better than having to attend their funeral. I now want to share with you how you can host some safe, fun events that can still allow you to have alcohol at your events, but in a safe manner as well. So, the first one, offer some fun, non alcoholic options. So, people aren't just guzzling alcohol the whole time. There's something else in their system as well. It's not just alcohol the whole time. Also, offer some transportation or lodging options. So, give them some transportation, as in, like, hey, it's our wedding. We have a bus to shuttle you to this hotel. That kind of kills two birds with one stone. Or you can be like, hey, we have this bus that will take you to X, Y, and Z. Or, hey, Uber or Lyft is readily available at our house. You guys should totally plan ahead. Or just be that friend that makes sure that everyone plans ahead before consuming beverages at your event that you're having. Be the friend that is the change. Be the one that people know that they should have to make a plan before consuming alcoholic beverages at your event. MoDOT actually released a code with them partnering with Uber that is good until the end of 2023. And I think it's phenomenal that they are doing this and trying to help make a difference. Through the holidays, it is so common that we're getting with friends, we're getting with coworkers, we're going out after a long day of work, or we're having those Christmas parties, or we're just meeting with friends, people we haven't seen in a while, and we're having a drink or two or three, or we're losing track and we're getting in the car. We don't have to do that. MoDOT is making rideshare options much more affordable until the end of the year. They are giving you two $10 vouchers with the code SOBERMO23. So you can get $10 off your Uber ride as long as it takes place between 5 p.m. and 3 a.m., which are common drinking times. So you can safely get home and make it to the next day of work, or make it to that next holiday, or simply just make it to the next day with your family that knows, loves, and trusts you. My hope is that through this presentation, I was able to show you some safe alternatives to drinking and driving, and show you just how impactful one, two, or even three drinks can change the trajectory of not only your life, but those around you. Keep in mind that the average drunk driver will drive 80 times before getting caught. That is why it is so important for you to know what to do and how to spot an impaired driver. 1 in 3 people will be impacted by a drunk driver in their lifetime. So it's not a matter of if you're going to harm somebody by drinking and driving, or if you will be affected by somebody who has driven impaired. It is a matter of when. And we can be the people who make that change. We can make the impact. We simply have to plan ahead before we take our first drink, and know that there is no way to know if we have reached that 0.08 limit without a blood test or a breathalyzer test. So why take the risk? Why put your life at risk? Why put the people on the road next to you at risk? Why cause pain that lasts a lifetime? Why take that financial burden on? And is it worth it? Is it truly worth it? Thank you so much. This cause is near and dear to my heart. In my lifetime, I strive to bring change to the laws around drinking and driving and the punishments around drinking and driving. And I do this in honor of my husband and my son, Corey and Parker. And it just means so much to me if you can just share the dangers of drinking to at least one person and just choose to make a plan, even just one time. Thank you again so much. And I appreciate you guys for listening and helping me be the change that our society needs today.